Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us, or at least right now, me, because my co-presenter has not turned up. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm here to tell you a story about how we came to create a new open access music appreciation textbook. I'm sharing the link right now in the chat. You can go look at it, download it, obviously. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, this is the part where I need PowerPoint too. There we go. All right, so this is the book, Resonances: Engaging Music in Its Cultural Context. I am Esther Morgan-Ellis. I served as executive editor, but also the lead author. I wrote most of this book, and it is largely my vision. But I had a team of really valuable collaborators, people who brought their expertise and their energy and their skills. And so I want to talk about how the vision for this book came together and what that process was like. All right, this is the bit where my colleague was going to lead a little bit of discussion. And I think the second question is particularly interesting. What are the challenges that face you as you set out to create a new OER textbook? Would anyone like to drop a couple things in the chat? Do we have the chat working for everyone? See, I
believe everybody can see.
Great, thank you. Time constraints, time constraints, time constraints. The division of labor is so difficult. And let me tell you, I don't think I got it right. I think it was very difficult. I learned a lot. Scope, oh yeah, keeping the voice unified when you have multiple authors, that was a big challenge for me. Editing and sometimes almost rewriting contributions. Let me tell you, one of the big challenges certainly also is money for managing the finances that go into the publishing process, managing the grant, getting the money going where it needed to go, and dealing with the needs of the press. Yeah, administration here, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about OERs in Georgia because we have kind of an interesting circumstance. All right, I'm going to skip right over these next few slides, which are about overviews of what OERs are. Again, my colleague was going to be talking about these things. But I think we all are pretty much on board with their value and significance. There are, of course, lots of interesting stats about money, and I can tell you that's a big problem here where I teach, a regional college in Georgia, where we have a lot of low-income students, and a lot of students come here because our tuition is so low, because it's such an affordable place to live and get an education. They do not have money to spend on expensive textbooks. And so this, of course, we all know firsthand at this institution can cause serious difficulties in the learning process. We've all had classes with students who simply never buy the textbook. So this project was sponsored by ALG, Affordable Learning Georgia, which I'll have some details on a little bit later. And what they do is fund the production of OER textbooks and other materials. They project that so far they have saved students over $82 million. So according to people who complete projects, when they report how much students aren't spending on textbooks once they get to use an OER, that's the number. Sorry, I keep losing control of PowerPoint. All right, so how Resonances was born. In January of 2018, I launched a faculty learning community, another fun acronym for music appreciation instructors. And I did so because we have a really unique and difficult situation here at the University of North Georgia. So our campus, our institution is spread across 5 campuses. Music appreciation is taught on 4 of those. It's one of our core classes, and so a lot of people take it, a lot of people teach it. When I launched this FLC, we had 19 instructors teaching music appreciation on 4 different campuses, some of them an hour and a half apart from one another. And of those instructors, a significant majority were part-time faculty, most of whom were hired just to teach music appreciation. And so they were popping into campus, once, 2 or 3 times a week, teaching their class, but had almost no connection to the department, and many of them I hadn't even met. So we started with a day-long retreat to really get to know each other and to talk about what music appreciation should even be about, to share our tips and tricks. And I've actually written all about this in an article that was published last year, if anyone has any interest. All right, so we talked a lot about curriculum. What on earth is a music appreciation class supposed to accomplish? Spoiler, I'm still not 100% sure. However, I took inspiration from the wonderful music educators, Stephen Cornelius and Mary Knapvig, who themselves wrote a great appreciation textbook and then have some reflections on that experience. We believe that after taking a music appreciation course, students should be equipped with tools to distill fundamental understandings from all of their musical experiences, beginning from the here and now and extending to the there and then. That is, from Beyoncé to Bach. And so that idea really struck with me. How can we give our students tools to distill fundamental understandings from all of their musical experiences? There's no question that most current music appreciation textbooks, free or otherwise, do not do that. The vast majority of music appreciation textbooks give a concise history of European-centric classical music. But none of us were really happy with that approach. So on March 27, 2018, this is one of those days that changed my life, one of our adjunct instructors started a thread. So he wrote to the whole group, "I'm wanting to revamp my approach to music appreciation. Do you know of any textbooks that organize music along the lines of moods?" He gave a bunch of examples. My response, too fun, love it, but there is no such thing. All right, so someone else wrote back, "Hey, this fun idea, here's some other ideas about topics. It's not out there, but we could write our own textbook." Granted, writing an entire textbook is a huge project, but you could cobble together readings from sources, etc. All right, and so I wrote, "If anyone is feeling super excited about this and suicidally ambitious, we could collaborate on an open textbook for UNG Press." I was on the board of the press, I still am, and I'm sure they would be interested. All right, so I meant that as a joke, but the response was very positive. That day, I received a dozen emails from instructors saying, "Yes, we want to participate in this. Let's write a textbook." So here in Georgia, there's actually a lot of support for OERs. The USG, the University System of Georgia, promotes their adoption and creation. So all of our courses that use OERs are flagged. Every course you have to tell them how much the texts are going to cost. And it's good if you can say $0. If it's something else, that's going to appear in the course search system. The USG Affordable Learning Georgia initiative provides lots of money every year. In fact, there's 3 cycles of applications every year to fund the adoption and creation of OERs. And it just so happens that UNG Press is the press for Affordable Learning Georgia. So when people get grants through ALG to produce something, it's UNG Press right here on my campus that brings it to life. UNG Press publishes all textbooks under the Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 4.0 license. So the fact that ALG funded this project had a major impact on how it came to be. So to begin with, ALG only gives grants to teams, and the structure encourages really large teams. So I was able to get $30,000 to fund this project, but the stipends were capped at $5,000 each. So if I can only have $5,000, why not spend most of the rest of that money paying a large number of collaborators? It just makes sense. I invited all of our music appreciation instructors to join the team. So this was a totally open invitation. We ended up with 9 people working on the textbook. 7 of those people were contingent instructors. So it was me, Rebecca Johnston, who at the time was our music education professor, and 7 adjunct appreciation instructors. Now there's some other things to talk about here. ALG grants are limited to 3 semesters. So that gave us an insane timeline to make this happen. It worked really well for me. I found it very inspiring. I like deadlines. So we got the grant at the very end of January 2019, and it was due out to just regular semesters. I'll go through the whole timeline right now. It was due to the reviewers on October 14th. So between January and October, the whole text was drafted in a series of Google Docs. I set up a doc for every chapter, shared them with all of the collaborators, and then we had lots of email exchanges also to keep things moving. Also during that time, I asked certain collaborators to write specific passages, get those in the docs, and then there was a constant ongoing process of feedback and revision. I also invited people to flag things that needed extra tools made, videos or graphics that would help bring them to life, and also to start finding available images that we could use in the book that were published under an open license and put those in the doc. So this was a really valuable process. Even though I wrote most of the book, I got constant feedback, lots of error corrections, lots of good ideas, lots of clarifications. And there were some wonderful copy editors on the team and a lot of people with a lot of knowledge. It was out for review between mid-October and mid-January. End of January, got the reviews, did some revision and response. In February, I went crazy making listening guides and working with one of the team members to typeset them. Finished adding images. And then in March, the whole thing went to UNG Press for typesetting. In May, we've corrected the proofs, me and one of my team members, and the book was published. A terrifying timeline. I don't even want to think about it. However, it got done. 170,000 words, hundreds of images, many dozens of listening guides, and now in use across our institution and at least 30 other programs that I'm aware of. I hear all the time from people who have adopted this book and are really loving it. So we had a very clear vision here. We wanted to bring together a diverse selection of musical examples drawn from global art, folk, and popular traditions, and organized thematically in a way that facilitates varied usages. A flexible book that can be reimagined in to suit different approaches to teaching the class. We really wanted to get away from chronology, which is how most appreciation books are organized. Start in the Middle Ages, work to the present. Has obvious problems when you're trying to think about incorporating diverse musical traditions. Oh my gosh, I lost my PowerPoint again. There we go. So right from the start, like I had to just accept this is not a comprehensive text. It seeks not coverage, but uncoverage. That is, we're not trying to address everything, which I think is a hopeless task, but rather trying to provide good depth and context for each example. It's designed so instructors can pick and choose examples. You can skip anything. You can reorganize the chapters. You can jump around between chapters. And really, the whole thing is more of a framework that allows instructors to add their own examples. And because of the way that it was published and because of ALG support, it's so easy to fix errors and eventually to do a real revision. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about. The book is done, but I see it as a work in progress. One nice thing, it's already on the 5th version of the PDF. That is, we've gone through 4 rounds of correcting simple errors and recompiling and uploading a new PDF. And that's something that can be done pretty quickly and easily through collaboration with the press. They have been great. Eventually, maybe next year, I want to apply for one of the ALG mini grants to fund a real revision, to bring in some more examples and maybe reshape some things. All right, so I want to answer a few questions as we go. Yes, so this is a fully remixable text in every sense. It's intentionally meant to be very modular and easy to reimagine and use in different ways. And the fact that it is an OER, of course, makes that so much better. It is so, I want to see this text become a website. That is something that is on my personal to-do list. For this initial rollout, we were working with the ALG UNG Press model. And what UNG Press does is they publish PDFs. And so it's an accessible PDF, but it's a PDF that's available print on demand at cost. I think it's $30 because it's a pretty chunky book. It should be an accessible PDF, yes. But that's really in the hands of the press. So just an idea about what is in here. So these are just 4 random chapters. So chapter 4, Sung and Danced Drama. This is a fun one. Yeah, just a second. So this is a fun one because it's a real classic topic. You know, it's opera and ballet, but we tried really hard to bring in those diverse examples. So it opens with Hamilton, then we have Orpheus, an opera from the 1600s from Italy, Mozart's The Magic Flute, and then a Beijing opera. And then Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker, contrasted with a Japanese traditional dance. 5, another one I really like, opening with Beyonce's Lemonade, then Schubert's song cycle, The Lovely Maid of the Mill from the 1820s, an Appalachian ballad in 2 different versions by 2 different traditional performers, Ode to Billy Joe, ending with West African sung storytelling. All right, yes, how on earth does the music work? So all of the music examples are QR codes that link to YouTube. So a great advantage there is that if a link goes dead, we can instantly fix it without reissuing a PDF. Because the QR codes go to a database under the auspices of UNG Press, and they can update the link. That was a huge stress point at the beginning of this. How on earth linking to YouTube or some other streaming source is the only way to share musical examples, since there's no money to license them in the traditional way. So that's how they work. The QR codes are also all clickable. So if you have the PDF in front of you, you can click on it. It takes you right there. Easy to fix. And we also included details in the PDF that will allow you to quickly find the commercial recording. I used all commercial recordings whenever possible so that at least some money goes back to performing artists, although not a great deal because the YouTube model is not very generous. And that's, yeah, that is the solution. Yeah, so if you're interested in the context, please just download the book and take a look. I'm on chapter 13 with my class right now. That's my very favorite one. All right, and here's what it looks like. Basically, it's real pretty. Lots of the examples have these nice listening guides. This is just the first line of a guide that goes on to the next page. But I was very happy with how this came out in terms of the appearance. All right, so benefits of the collaborative process. This is so important to me. Buy-in from all instructors. Everyone who all of our instructors here at UNG, they have to use this text now, but they all want to use this text because they helped create it. They had such an intense say in the production process. Many of them now have a great peer-reviewed authorship credit. All of us who were creating it were held accountable, kept to our deadlines. It includes all sorts of information that I could not have provided because I did not have the expertise, and all sorts of errors caught that I would have missed. And many skills of different people brought to the table. I didn't have time to talk about this in the detail I wanted. I can't believe I'm already out of time. Challenges, inconsistency in quality of contributions, inconsistency in level of detail, voice, the approach to creating listening guides. These things are so hard to manage across a bunch of people. It was so great to be able to give every single one of these people a very generous stipend, but difficult to feel like it was really fair. And finally, communication continued to be challenging. All right, I am just super out of time. Becky, I believe you are here now.
I am actually here. I am so sorry, everybody. I had serious connectivity problems.
Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. And so regarding what we had hoped at the outset to accomplish, obviously course material redesign, which Esther spoke about, standardization regarding the fact that we have multiple instructors teaching the same subject across a large institution. Accessibility for students. Our students, many of them are very first generation. They often have financial challenges, so having an OER is a benefit for them, and better resources for instructors regarding assessments and additional materials.
All right, so we had some closing discussion questions, but I see that we're basically out of time. However, if anyone wants to do a little brainstorming in the chat, we would love to hear from you. We think this is a great model for high enrollment gen ed courses at lots of different kinds of institutions. And I have to say, like, there was so much enthusiasm coming out of our faculty of mostly adjunct music appreciation instructors. They were eager to take this on. They were just delighted to be a part of it. And they're all really happy with what came out of it. Any thoughts, any more questions? I'd love to see those in the chat. You're more than welcome to contact, just a minute, either of us for any further details or things to consider. But thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Watching the chat for any more.
Absolutely. And just to put, I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording.